Good evening. The 2012 Grant Thornton International Business Report showed that the number of women in senior management positions has steadily increased to nearly 40% locally. But with CEOs at a meager 3%, there is evidence that a number of cultural, economic and social barriers still hinder the advance of women in business. To explore such issues, we present an informative chit-chat we had recently with a group of women who have banded together to address this imbalance. They reveal that the ability to network effectively is a major contributor to one's performance in both the business and the corporate world. And they have come up with a way that they believe will change the landscape for women. Could you tell us about the formation and the mandate of Women in Business Association?
Women in Business Association is an association that was set up. We're actually now an NGO that was set up for the main purpose of getting women who are in business to come together, to network, lobby for policies that are relevant to us. And we just felt as an association that we don't have a place where we just come together as women for an economic initiative, so we said, why? And it's been around for quite a while, so even the people who set it up had that same mandate, and we're still pushing forth.
What necessitated the formation of this association? What about our business culture and landscape made it necessary for women to come together in this manner?
Like she mentioned that women in business has been around for a long time. It started in 1990. Women during that time, they felt that, their voices were not heard because we were dominated by the male counterparts. Women in business, when it started, it was a subsector in BOCAM, Botswana Confederation of Commerce and Industry. And during that time, majority of people who were in business were men, really. Women were very, very few. So you find that during proceedings, meetings, and everything, it was male-dominated. So issues that are related to women were not heard. So then women decided to form an association and call it Women in Business Association, but still under BOCAM. And in 1994, women said, when we are still serving under BOCAM as a subsector in BOCAM, our voices are still not heard properly. We want to be independent. We want to be on our own. And then WIBA was born, an independent NGO was born. Then the name was still Women in Business Association, but it was now registered to be an NGO. So we are now an NGO.
Speaking of the challenges and issues that women face, what are the challenges that are unique to women in business?
It's been proven that women are a previously disadvantaged group. Statistics show that in Botswana, most of the women who are in business are actually in the informal sector. And they've been in that sector for quite a while. And as an association, yes, we appreciate we have members who are in the informal sector. But we want to pick, we're saying, our good education system in Botswana. You have so many women who are professionals, who are educated. You have mining engineers, you have chemists. Why can't we transform those to move from profession to run their own businesses and create that economic wealth? The main issues that we pick, and which is why we said, as an association, it's good. Time management. We all know that as a woman, you're a mother or you're a wife, but at the same time, you're running a business. So we said sometimes when you are in your own little cocoon, you're not able to really thresh it out and unlike when you interact with others, because they're able to say, this is how we do it. And this has been actually our main objective. We're saying we want to make it easier for all of us to say, how do we do it? How do we deal with the challenges that we face as women, as a collective?
Your latest initiative is a golf clinic. Why golf? And what are you hoping to achieve through an initiative like this one?
I always share this experience when people ask me that. We were at the BOCAM National Business Conference last year, 2012, which is a biannual event. So for the first time, as an association, we made sure that at least 10 of our members attended that conference through subsidies and stuff. Part of the program, the first thing that happened is there was the first day There was on the promise, people went to go play golf in Zamai. I don't know if you're familiar with Zamai in the north, outside Francistown. And guess what we did as women? Because we were clueless, we still are, which is why we have this event. We remained at the hotel, sipped on our cocktails, and by the time the men came back, you know, the huge smiles on their faces could just said to us, you know, these guys have sealed their deals. So honestly, I think everything that transpired after that day, to them it didn't really matter. So it was actually, it was a wake-up call. We come together, we have all these come-togethers as women. We have metzelo, we have baby showers, but do they really achieve that business? Because we want to create women millionaires, billionaires. Can you produce such caliber of women from such setups? No, you know, because it's a closed circle of people that doesn't really extend your network. And wherever you go, whatever book you read, whatever, it's people who play golf. So we said maybe it's about time that we exposed our members. Oh, and this time it's not even just our members, it's every woman in Botswana, whether in profession or in business, you know, to come together, network, and also play and expose, you know, expose them to that, but importantly as a fitness initiative as well. So we said, why not kill two birds with one stone? Why not have something that we able to you network, but you're also keeping fit? So, and hence the event was, you know, what was set up. The concept was initiated.
I like how you touched on metzelo and baby showers, but why create a new platform for women to network on instead of capitalizing on the social networks that already exist, instead of going for a male-dominated one like golf?
You know the saying that if you can't beat them, you join them. You know, we've tried all these years. I'm sure my grandmother will attest to this. We've said, no, we have our own little social setups. But have they produced a billionaire Botswana woman? No. So maybe this is our opportunity. We said, and also, but honestly, on a serious note, you go for workshop, you go for conferences when you are in business, and the programs always have that golf part of it. So are we saying we're going to always be excluded and stay in our little cocoons and say, no, you know, it's the men's world and stuff? So no, we thought it's right to now just come to the party.
Golf is perceived by many to be quite an elite sport. Don't you risk associating Weber with this perception and branding it as not accessible to most people?
We want to demystify that. I believe, or we believe, that success in business is all about network. And we see golf as a tool for networking. We want our members to know that when you are in business, you should be able to network, because they make when you are in business, you are making money somewhere, even if it's not large profits, but you are making something. That's part of your marketing. You're marketing yourself by going out there and telling people about your product. And if we sit back and say that golf is only for the elite, maybe they're hiding something that we don't know. We also want to go there and see to mix with them. You know, we want to mix with the elite so that we can also see what makes them to be rich. So that's how we see it at Weber.
Indeed, we also want to be inspired. If you're not going to mingle with Richard Branson, how else are you going to know, or how else are you going to be motivated in doing what he does? I'm just saying, really.
With all this effort to create a networking platform for women, what is the importance of networking in business, and how does one do it successfully? Is the handing out of business cards the extent of it, or is there more to it?
I always love the story of the business card, which I think will be part of a chapter in the book I'll write someday. Networking is key, and we underestimate it as women in business. There's a time that I was at a cocktail function, and I met this person who was from overseas. They gave me their card. I shoved it in my pocket, and that was it. So apparently this guy was observing me from afar, right? So I went on thinking I was networking, because apparently then I wasn't. 2 hours later, he comes back and says to me, "Oh, hi, I'm the guy from earlier. You remember me?" I'm like, "Yeah." oh, what do I do? I'm like, huh? Huh? Then I fumbled for his business card, because the key mistake number one, I didn't even look at his name and his title. And the way I took the business, I just grabbed it and I just shoved it in the pocket. So he said to me, it was one business lesson that I'll never forget. He said to me, how you exchange your business card is key, because whoever gives you the card, you don't want them to think you're going to forget about them later. From watching you, I realized that I'm sure tomorrow you would have forgotten me.
It's an art that I think we need to, sensitize and teach our women in business about. That when you go to functions, you don't just go there and stand with someone that you know. You need to move around, introduce yourself to people, find out what they do, show interest. But not many of us, I think, understand the art or have been, I don't know whether to say schooled in the art of networking. So, and at WIBA, we have started, creating or facilitating or capacitating women to know how to do it in the business world, because it's very important. Otherwise, you can just go to events and come out of that event empty-handed, without having sealed, a deal or made a connection with anyone, because you don't know how to do it. So it's important. And it's also an opportunity to know what's happening out there, what other women are doing, because half the time when we meet, especially us Botswana, we talk about everything else, except what I do as a business person. So we want to change that culture. We want people to know that, of course, when you are at a wedding, you can talk about everything. But when you are in a business setting, talk about business. Talk about, the challenges that you experience. Talk about the opportunities that are there in business. Share those tips of how you are making it in business.
And also, it's also key. I mean, how many of us go to a function and you give every person you meet your business card till you run out of business cards, only to realize by the end of the function that the key person that you should have given a business card to, you've run out of cards. Because you just do a random, you give, and apparently that's irritating. Mm-hmm. You need to be selective, you need to walk into a space and observe who it is will make a good addition to your network. And we are, like our PRO said, it's what we're trying to instill within our members. And the stories you hear, we always laugh our lungs out, because when we meet as an association at our meetings, people share their stories of networking and their disaster stories, because that's what we come together to. We come together to share in the joys and in the embarrassments, and we're like family. Yeah.
I hope the people at home are taking notes, because those are some very valuable tips. But now that we know about networking, how can women get on this initiative? How can they capitalize on it?
For the first time, WIBA is now opening stuff up to women in profession. We're targeting, because as you know, as an association, we're only for women in business. But this time we are targeting two categories of people: an awesome woman in business and an awesome woman in profession. That's your manager, your director, because we said we want our members to also interact with these bank managers, with the guys who make the policies. Just it's still the networking bit, and the response has been amazing. We actually get more response from even the women who are in profession, because they're saying, actually, I've been wanting to do this, but I didn't have the guts to do it on my own. And also we've put together a cute little package, cute because we are women, package that's really enticing. It will be a 3 months long training. We call it a golf clinic. So it will be a 3 months long clinic, effective next on the 19th of April. So we are launching on the 19th of April. And it will be done at the Blue Tree. This is where we are. I'm sure you can pick the ambience. We couldn't have chosen a better place. You have, when you're at the Blue Tree, you have a spot where your kids can play. You bring them, you have the play, and we are women, remember? So we are balancing that. We're saying, Yes, we are mothers, but I'd want to be playing golf and then my son is playing. And there's a jungle gym, and then it's kids friendly. It's so that's what it is. So we're targeting 50 women, and 50 women for the first batch. Then it will be an ongoing thing. It will be a Weber ongoing thing after the first batch because we don't want to deal with just too many numbers. So it will be a first come, first serve basis. So far, the response is good. I'm sure by the end of this interview, we'll have hit the 50 mark, yeah.
Welcome back to First Issues. In this second segment of the show, we are joined by Thapelo Tshelo of the Botswana Stock Exchange as he reviews the performance of the Botswana Stock Exchange in its first quarter. We hear there's good news to report with regards to the goings-on there at the Botswana Stock Exchange. Could you kindly give us a review of this past quarter?
Yeah, if you look at the first quarter of 2013, we realized that the domestic company index, which is our benchmark index, have actually gone up by 11.8% in the first quarter. But when you take the period up to end of April, that is an increase of about 16.4%. And this is the highest increase in the past 5 years, but only less than to 2007 increase of about 28%. So it is a good performance by the domestic company index.
Could you attribute this to any factors or going on within the stock market?
I'll attribute it to the low valuations of our most shares in our market. Our price to earnings ratio have actually remained low since 2010 compared to other stock exchanges in the region. And this basically means that there was potential value in most stocks in the BSE. And therefore investors have actually seen this value and are taking advantage of the low valuation to earn returns.
It is our understanding that the good performance continues even with regards to trading values. Could you share a little about that?
If you look at the total trading levels for this year, a total of about 414 million pula of shares have been traded since January this year. And this is almost half of the total value of shares traded the whole of last year. And when you compare this value to the same period last year in 2012, you realize that at the same period last year, we have only traded about 230 million worth of shares compared to the present trading values of about 414 million worth of shares. And when you translate these figures into the daily average turnovers, you realize that in the same period last year, we were trading at about 2.7 million worth of shares every day, but this year we are trading at about 4.9 million worth of shares every year. So this is a tremendous increase. It's actually about 70% increase compared to last year.
Almost double.
Almost double, yes.
So what were the major influences with regards to the ETF and those parts of the stock exchange?
We suspect, but we still need to sit down and verify our calculations further. We suspect the launch of the automated trading system is contributing to the larger volumes coming into the stock exchange. I mean, given so, it's experience with other stock exchanges. When they automate, they bring their automated trading systems. It has been proven that the levels of trading go up. And this is one thing that we suspect in our market, because it doesn't only attract a lot of other maybe foreign investors and local investors, it also increases the efficiency of the trading. When you look at the exchange traded funds, you realize that the new gold total trades up to this year is about 96 million worth of new gold traded up to this year. And this is a good levels of trade. The price of gold have actually gone down a little bit, about 4% to reach the level of about 114 pula per ounce per unit of gold ETF. But when you look at the beta, there were actually small trades of about 77,000 up to last week, and the current price is about 37 pula 60 pula per unit of new beta. And the levels are still very thin in that regard.
So the growth was largely due to developments within the BSE itself,
yes,
and no external factors.
Yes.
All right, going forward, could you tell us a little bit as to what to expect or what it is you're hoping for? Any new developments internally or?
Yeah, I think going forward, just to note that we've actually surpassed our 2008 crisis levels by about 8%. We reached that around mid-March this year. When you look on year-to-date basis, when you compare the BSE and other regional market, you realize that the JSE is down at about 0.6%. We are up at 16.3%. The Stock Exchange of Mauritius is up at 10.3%, and while we are up at 16.3%. So we are doing at regional level reasonably very well. You look at the other developments in the exchange. We have launched the 3 bond indices last week, and this makes us the 3rd stock exchange in Africa to have bond indices. After JSE and Kenya have got 1 index, while we have about 3. And we are also looking forward to develop more products like the Global Depository Receipt going forward, which will actually make investors to buy a lot of shares that are listed in foreign markets in Botswana. So these are some of the developments that are actually taking place in our local exchange.
What does this great performance signify? Does it have global implications or is it regional? What does it mean for investors?
Yeah, I think it basically means that there is increased interest in our market, mainly because of the level of infrastructure that we have put in place at the BSE, the introduction of the automated trading system, because it normally attracts a lot of foreign investors who don't want to trade where there is no ATS. And then when we have a lot more other participants in the market and there is more demand for shares, more especially that the shares in the BSE, like I said previously, were lowly valued. You know, we are likely to see an increase in benchmark index in the DCI. We are likely to see an increase in the levels of tradability, which is a welcome development in our market.
We thank you so much for your time. If you are now feeling a little envious of all the great unprecedented growth happening at the Botswana Stock Exchange, do not fret, because as of next week, we at First Issues will be presenting a series with regards to how you, the viewer at home, can start purchasing and trading in shares with our very own Botswana Stock Exchange. Stay tuned as we continue to bring you gems for business success with the founder of a small business camp, entrepreneurial expert Andrew Morrison.
First secret is purpose. What is your purpose? The second secret to small business success is to find a partner. The next principle is called problem. All right, once again, your partner needs to have a problem. And are you uniquely qualified to solve the problem? There's a housing shortage here at the university, so I'm solving a problem. So make sure your business concept will focus on the proper problem.